Hey guys, so this is the third episode of the Ask Prolife show from Students for Life. I'm Phil, I make video for Students for Life.
I'm Tina, I do other stuff for Students for Life.
Woo! Okay, so the topic of this week is everyone says that the videos are deceptively edited. How do I respond?
And he's talking about the Center for Medical Progress videos that were released this summer. Videos. I mean,
I just get so excited.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tina, you wanna?
Okay, so here's some things that we've seen thrown around about the videos. One is that the videos are heavily edited. Phil, these videos are heavily edited.
Well, we'd have to look at why Planned Parenthood is saying that and where they got that from. So they commissioned this report from a company called FusionGPS. And in this report, it says right here, this analysis did not reveal widespread evidence of substantive video manipulation. Neither Mr. Fredericks or FusionGPS staff identified any evidence of audio manipulation within the video segments provided. So the video and the audio is not manipulated, then.
So you're saying that was commissioned by Planned Parenthood?
This was commissioned by Planned Parenthood through a company called FusionGPS.
All right. So the other claim that I've been hearing a lot is that the videos were deceptively edited, meaning that they created a story out of all this different video that they pushed together so that they would put words in people's mouths. Well,
again, we go back to this report because everything that Planned Parenthood is saying, just assertions. That's what they're doing. They're making assertions, so then we need to look at their evidence. Their evidence is this report again, the same report from FusionGPS. And right here, they're looking at a piece of footage that was missing from the CMP full footage videos, and they're making, in this forensic report, they're making speculation. They're saying, well, based on some of the dialogue that happened, in this 30-minute missing footage, it's likely that the removed video contained dialogue in which CMP operatives asked about gender of a specimen. Likely. And they say that in a forensic report, which is not supposed to be.
So, okay, this is one report that was commissioned by Planned Parenthood, but there's a secondary forensic report that was also released, when was that, September? September 28, 2015. Okay, so this is a different company that looked through everything again.
Right. So our friends over at Alliance Defending Freedom commissioned this report from a company called Coalfire Systems. And this report is a digital forensic analysis report. Now, what's majorly different about this report versus the one that Planned Parenthood had commissioned is that Planned Parenthood was using the full footage video from YouTube, which again is not actually the full footage video, because they're right. There is, little pieces of footage missing from here and there, and according to CMP, it's like things like bathroom breaks.
Or lulls in the conversation.
Yeah, just things that no one wants to really sit through. But this report is the actual full footage from CMP delivered to them via FedEx by a flash drive. And this is a forensic report in which they talk about the content and whether it was actually manipulated or not. The general thesis is it's not manipulated, and they show that the content that's missing in all those full footage videos is things like them eating or bathroom breaks. So yeah, what they say likely, not really.
So they said likely, the Planned Parenthood one that they commissioned, but then this one through Alliance Defending Freedom basically answers the likely question and says no.
Yeah, and it's pretty embarrassing for FusionGPS there.
Mm-hmm. So then kind of the third thing that I've seen kind of thrown around the interwebs is that, well, this is just slander.
Well, as slander, it's baseless accusations aimed at discrediting people, but an example that actually Tina had brought up earlier, if someone called me a racist and said, I hate Asian people, that's slander. Now, if someone got me on film saying, I hate Asian people, then I hate Asian people, apparently, because it came from my own mouth.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to understand. I went to my Google machine, to dictionary.com, to look up what slander actually means. So it's the action or crime of making a false spoken statement damaging to a person's reputation. So all the statements that were spoken in the videos were spoken by Planned Parenthood. So we came to conclusions. I would say CMP came to conclusions based off of what they said.
Exactly.
But everything that CMP pushed out was based off of actual statements that Planned Parenthood itself made. So it's not a false statement. They're definitely damaging, but it's damaging because Planned Parenthood themselves said it, not because someone made it up falsely.
Now, we highly recommend that you guys go check it out yourselves. However, these videos are like 2.5 hours long a piece. So what we did was, if you look at the previous episode, episode number 2, which I'm gonna put a little box right here. If you look in the description area for those videos, I actually put clickable timestamps for each of the sections of those 2.5 hour long videos, in which you can find the actual things that they said in which the allegations came from. So if you want to look at context, feel free to look before it and after it. The context is all there in our opinion.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about the things that Planned Parenthood has done to even create some viability, I guess, for the CMP claims. So one is that they actually came out and admitted that some of the allegations that were brought up in these videos were actually true.
Right. And originally they said, well, none of it's true. Now they're saying some of it's true. So which is it? Either none of it's true or at least some of it is true. So.
Mm-hmm. And it's very fascinating to me that this was the first undercover video that Cecile Richards ever personally responded to.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's definitely some sort of conviction or realizing this is a little more serious.
Boom!
So one of the other things that sort of proves out from Planned Parenthood's perspective that what was alleged in these CMP videos is also the fact that Cecile Richards actually changed policy. So one of the allegations was that Planned Parenthood sold the baby parts, and there's now been a policy change across the board that no Planned Parenthoods will receive any reimbursements. So no money will be exchanged at all for fetal tissue from here on out.
Right. Yeah, and she said that in her letter to the National Institute of Health. So they're admitting to it. They did it.
Boom. Done.
Q&A.
Q&A. So here is a question that came on the Twitter feed, #AskProlife, from Joelle. She says, how do you respond to the argument that pro-life laws lead to jailing of women who have miscarriages? So that's very interesting, and I feel like it's kind of common when you start to talk to people who are adamantly pro-choice, who don't want to take any kind of a step back from their position. They throw these like kind of crazy things out there at you, like, where did that even come from? I think it's pretty important to clarify an abortion is the intentional destruction, ending of a human life in the womb, where a miscarriage is a natural process.
Right.
There is no intent in miscarriage, and so I think that needs to be made very clear. Women, if abortion were to be outlawed or criminalized with some sort of penalty, any woman who miscarried would not go to jail or experience any kind of punishment that was set up at all, because there was no intentional killing of an innocent human being in utero.
Question number 2. If abortion isn't the solution, then what is? Quick way to think about this: if abortion were to disappear tomorrow, what would happen? All these nonprofits, all the resources that pro-lifers are saying that do exist, that so many people don't know about, they would all of a sudden start getting more and more funding. People would start seeking these services out more and more, and that infrastructure will grow to the point where women won't feel like they need to make that choice. I mean, it'll always be a difficult situation, especially if it's unplanned. I mean, even when it's planned, it's kind of a difficult situation.
It can be scary and big and life-changing.
But
I think it's all about like that idea of making abortion unthinkable.
Right.
And you know, these are things that we need to be thinking about as a pro-life movement now, because isn't our hope that Roe is overturned? Isn't it our hope that we will abolish abortion? So we need to now be starting to look at what are the real resources that women need so that we can really help them and partner with them in a life decision.
Yeah, so quick answer, abortion isn't the solution, it's support. Pregnant women need our support.
Question number 3 is, what kinds of adoptions are there? And there's basically 2 labels. One is a closed adoption, where the parents turn over the custody of their child to an adoptive mother and father, and then that door is closed. So there's no more contact between the birth parents and the adoptive parents. So that's one kind of adoption. Then there's this other label of open adoption, and open adoptions run the gamut from super very open, where the birth parents have a part in the child's life, to limited contact of letters. I don't know if you watched our video on adoption, but the birth mom talked about how she has a blog that she keeps up for the birth mom. So there's different scales on that, but it's closed or open, with closed being closed and open being a whole spectrum of different kinds of relationships that the adoptive family has with the birth parents.
Question number 4. Biological evidence suggests that a large number, if not a majority, of fertilized eggs are spontaneously aborted at a very early stage of pregnancy, by some estimates as much as 50%. Do you consider this an ongoing humanitarian crisis that urgently needs medical research? No. The reason why is because I'm assuming that they're talking about after conception, a failure to implant, which happens, and they're saying by some estimates as much as 50%. I don't think so, because that's just a natural process, and they use the word abort, but an abortion is an intentional medical intervention.
Direct,
Someone wanted to end that life, but in this case, assuming they're talking about a failure to implant, it is not a humanitarian crisis that urgently needs research, because it's just a natural thing that
process.
happens. Yeah. All right. It's like if my hair falls out. I mean, that might be a humanitarian concern if my hair starts falling out. It's a natural process, but
For you, it might be humanitarian.
All right. So that concludes our show. Ask your questions with #AskProLife. And if you want to get notifications, subscribe to our Twitters. All links are in the description below. And if you don't have a YouTube account that you subscribe with, and you don't have a Twitter account, then there's
no hope for you, basically.
Well, there's hope. There's the email list.
Oh, yes.
Down below.
Well, okay, you can still join us via email.
Yeah, so there's an email list down below in which we're not going to contact you with anything else unless you opt in for those things. Yeah.
Yay. So, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, next question.
I don't know.
How do I respond to those who say abortion is justified in the case where the child has Down syndrome from Idaho? Well, not the child from Idaho, but this question comes from Idaho.
It's an important thing to clarify there.